has built a strong culture of sharing within Vito. He has set up the Vito Foundations to help communities around the world and to better the life and to improve the life of the communities.
His zest for life. You could hardly see him, feeling like spiritless or despondent or anything. It's just kind of spread to you, even though you're down, but his presence will actually make you lifted up.
There was this particular incident. He went to a business meeting together with Ian. And when he went to the business meeting with Ian introduced him as his colleague, not as his staff. That's how Ian believed the company should be, a partnership in every sense of the word. Not him as the boss and the rest as employees. I think if you are able to let someone feel like he has skin in the game, then you truly empower that person to be the best that he can be. And that is something that I try to apply in my life as well.
Whenever he wanted to reward any employee, he would directly speak to the employee, praise him. Sometimes rewarding an employee doesn't mean monetary benefits. He would rather call up the employee and praise him and appreciate his work and his contribution to the organization.
Ian was a very charismatic, full of energy and dynamic person. He was always on the move.
Overbearing reason why everyone liked him and gravitated towards him, and I'm sure it got the company one heck of a lot of business because Ian never really made enemies. Everyone was partial towards him. Everyone had an affectionate place in their heart for Ian.
Extreme charisma and vivacious personality. When he would visit the Singapore office, you always knew he'd arrived because you could hear his voice booming.
He respected everyone, every single one of us. From the pantry lady up to, the traders or whoever.
It doesn't matter who you are, whether you are a junior employee, whether you are a senior employee. He had this ability and he took the time to remember names, remember who you are, remember what you were doing.
I think once we were all going on a plane to one of these offsites, someone challenged him and he actually went from the back of the plane right up to the front, naming each and every person on the flight, all of them obviously being VTOL employees, but yes, people still talk about those stories.
It's not only having good memory, he's taking the effort to want to know people and can foster a closer sense of togetherness and common identity, family, and people would be kind to each other, would be able to help each other. I think that is something different with Ian.
One of our Christmas parties, we had the privilege of Ian sitting at the crude oil table. Ian and Tina sat next to me and my wife. My wife was so engrossed in the conversation with Ian the whole night, I felt neglected. And after the dinner, she turned around and looked at me. Hey, your boss is so amazing. But we both agreed that, he's so charming that he could talk a cat down from a tree.
Well, Ian Taylor had a infectiously positive, exuberant personality. He would just be the magnet for the crowd and attract so much attention. But what he was extremely good at was showing attention to everybody. He had this terrific knack of devoting time to everyone and making everyone feel that they had a good dose of him, when really he was rushing his way through a crowd in a way only he could.
I still remember one of my first D&Ds in London, where the theme was a Bollywood dance theme, and I think he danced along with all of us on those Bollywood songs.
He's the life of the party.
I wanted Ian to travel down to India to meet a business counterpart. It was a very hectic schedule for Ian. You won't believe he got back to me in a few hours' time. He took a Sukhoi twin-engine jet flight from Moscow all the way to Mumbai. So tiring it was for him. But he just entered the meeting full of energy, full of passion, and just blew up the entire presentation. And just, we had a very good meeting with the counterpart, though the business didn't materialize. But when I was way back, again he said, Shush, We have to do this for our counterparties. We cannot just say that, oh, we are busy or we cannot make it because it's our hectic travel schedule. If the counterparty wants us to meet us, let's go and meet them.
When I attended the first ever Petronas conference in Kuala Lumpur, as a young man, I was a relative nobody, and I'd had one or two negotiations with Ian Taylor, and that was it. And I chose to ask a question, and he picked me out back in the 10th row in a crowd of perhaps 800 people, and said, "Oh, bloody hell, Mullah, trust you to ask such an impossible question." So he had this great knack for relating to people, even surprising people that wouldn't even expect to be recognized.
In June 2019 in the London office, on that day he was furious and he was really upset because one of the traders from small matrices made losses. That was a time he was still recovering from his cancer. And when he saw me walking by on the trading floor, coming back from, arriving from Singapore, he just came to see me. And the first question he asked me is, "How is your daughter doing?" Because my daughter was also sick at that time. So you see, that was all about Ian. Despite all the full of activities, he still had a lot of energy, but at the same time a lot of empathy for his the loyal, vital staff. That's what I remember.
I think what I liked about him was his appreciation for our family. So in fact, every year and when we had the D&D parties, he would personally go to our spouses and partners and actually would thank them for the contribution into our success.
He support Manchester City and I support Liverpool. At one stage he promised me, "Osman, I will bring you to England if my team play your team in the finals in Wembley." So it's happened, and he drove me around, and we went to Wembley, and we sat together. Even I got his wife, Tina Taylor, also bring me around, and his son, everything. So he's a very, very generous man and very good man in Vitol as far as I'm concerned.
And even for me, he identified where my strengths and weaknesses are and asked me to focus in those areas. That eventually led me to make me who I am. So I'm extremely grateful.
Actually, if you think about the motto of Manchester City, it is Superbia and Prolio, which basically means pride in battle. And that's what Ian embodied.
A very much larger than life character, as I'm sure. Yeah, very inspiring individual.
And until today, I'm really still very, very thankful that, he actually appeared in my life.
I'm heartened by such a leader whom I have great admiration with.
Thank you, Ian.